Hey Accelerated Algebra, sorry to miss you today, but I'll be back next class. Go ahead and open up to lesson 1.1. It will say Callie's Catering Company on top. So that first page is an intro. We're going to skip that page, and so go to the second page of your packet. Again, it will say Callie's Catering Company on the top, and then in the back of that sheet it will say lesson 1.1. So please make sure you're in the right place. Today's scenario is going to be helping Callie with her catering company business. So she prepares for an event by setting up tables and chairs. Each table is set with 8 chairs. Callie always brings 3 extra tablecloths than what she needs for the tables. So go ahead and consider the questions below and do what you can. As you work together, please be sure to read the question and be completely sure what it's asking, and answer or fill in the blanks to the best of your abilities. You have problems 1 through 8 to work through with your group. Once you have most of them filled out, the sub will play the video so that you can see the answers. So at this moment, the video can get paused. Go ahead and work on 1 through 8, and then when we play this, you'll get to see the answers. Okay, so if there are 8 chairs per table, that means you can, if you have 1 table, you should have 8 chairs. 2 tables, you can add 8 again. 3 tables, you're going to add another 8 chairs, and so forth. So your chairs column should be groupings of 8. The tablecloths are always going to be 3 more than your table. So if there's only 1 table, you're going to have 4 tablecloths. 2 tables, there's going to be 3 extra, there's going to be 5, and so forth. In other words, the pattern, hopefully you don't have to write this paragraph, but I hope it's something along what I just explained. The number of chairs goes up by 8, or you can say the number of tables you multiply by 8. The tablecloths, the pattern is to go up by 1, but it's always 3 more than the table. Something along those lines. So now some application. If Callie brings 11 tables, how many chairs should she bring, and how many tablecloths will this be? Well, hopefully you can see that 11 tables, she'll have to have 3 more tablecloths, so she'll have 14. And then her chairs, if the amount of chairs is 8 times the number of tables, you can take your number of tables, multiply by 8 here, and get 88. Please include labels. In math, if there's any context, you should always have labels. So if you got 88 and 14 with no labels, please get in the habit of always putting labels from here forth. Alright, now you're told if Callie brings 120 chairs, how many tables will she bring and how many tablecloths? Well, the relationship goes 2 ways. If you take your tables times 8 to get the chairs, you could take your chairs and go the opposite direction, which would then divide by 8. So then we would see we would have 15 tables. Once we know it's 15, we can add our 3 extra tablecloths on, and so we know there will be 18 tablecloths. So recognizing this relationship when we can multiply versus when we can divide is going to be really helpful, especially when we get to number 8. Okay, now she has 16 tablecloths. How many tables will she bring, and how many chairs? So her tablecloths, remember, she always has 3 extra tablecloths, so she should have 13 tables to cover then. Once you know that amount, you can multiply by 8 to see that she would need 104 chairs. This is where it might have gotten a little tricky. If you weren't sure how to put this together in an equation form, you might know how to do it mathematically, but not how to make it into a general equation. So let's talk about that. You're going to write an equation that shows the relationship between the number of tables, T, and the number of chairs, C. So you are already given variables to use. And if we take a look here, we had a relationship here. We took the tables and we multiplied it by 8. So one of your solutions could be to take the number of tables, multiply by 8, so that's what our 8t means, and that will equal the chair. The other relationship we had was if you know the amount of chairs, you could divide by the 8 per table, and that would tell you how many tables there were, like we did in number 4. So you also could have written this equation. Your chairs divided by 8 equals your number of tables. Or you could write them both, because both are accurate. Then you are asked to write an equation that shows the relationship between the number of tables and the number of tablecloths. So we can think, we're like, okay, the tablecloths is always 3 more than our tables. So one of your scenarios could be take your tables, add 3, and that is equal to your tablecloths, which we're calling B. Or you can reverse it and say, well, if we take the number of tablecloths, that's always 3 more than that, or more than the tables. So if we take off 3, that should equal the tables. So like the previous question, both equations are correct. They're talking about the same relationship. So maybe you got 6 and 7. I would say 8 was a tricky one. And this is what we're going to try to build in this course. You are asked to write an equation that shows the relationship between the number of tablecloths B and the number of chairs C. So we're putting these two equations together somehow. We want to see how B and C are related. So basically, we don't want T in our answer. We just want tablecloths and chairs. So there's a concept called substitution. We're going to talk about that more in a future lesson. But what you could do is you could take this equation that you made right here, and you could say, well, if C equals 8T, I wonder if I see that T is the same as B minus 3. I wonder if I could just put that right in there for T. And that's how we get this first equation here. 8 times table, but table is the same as tablecloth minus 3. You could do the same with the other equation. You could see that, well, C divided by 8 is the number of tables, but then tables is also right here, so we could say, well, if tables plus 3 is tablecloths, let's go ahead and put what tables is equal to. It's the same as C over 8. So I would say 8 was maybe the trickiest one on here. So if you got it, great job. And if you didn't, don't worry. These are the skills we're going to build in this class. This was just the first time you might have seen substitution with variables. All right, go ahead and flip to the back now, and you're going to see those quick notes section. Your sub can go ahead and pause the video. These are going to be the big ideas from this lesson. So LT is just learning target. We have 3 main learning targets from this section. So go ahead and copy these into your notes, and this will be really helpful with your homework tonight as well as future lessons. Go ahead and pause the video. Now it's time to check your understanding from today's lesson. Go ahead and with your groups answer 1, A and B, and also 2, A and B. Like before, try the problems. We can go ahead and pause the video, and when you play the video, you can reveal the answers. Okay, here are your solutions. Go ahead and check your answers. And if you got something wrong, maybe seeing the answer now will make sense of it. Otherwise, hang on to that question, and when I return next class, I would be happy to answer it. Okay, there is our first lesson, which means you guys get your first homework assignment. So, worksheet 1-1 should be right behind the notes you took. Go ahead with your remaining time, work on that, and whatever is not finished, please do so tonight and have that done for next class. I'll see you guys later.